to maintain, manage it, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of IT knowledge, a lot of dedicated networking knowledge. Besides that, if you look at it, is other networks, the big network is their dispatch network, which consists of the dispatch and the 911. It's a separate network designed by separate consortium, supported by separate consortium, managed by supporting CGIS and lien requirement and 911 restrictions that in place to protect the integrity of not anybody interrupting so they can provide service, because that service is high-risk service that they're providing. So if anything goes wrong with it, we be paying a lot of lawsuits. So that's why those best practices, CGs, are in place. So in order to manage and maintain, it costs a lot. So that's why we join consortium. So what consortium does has a similar goal, and they're cutting the cost down. Because us going in alone, it will cost us a lot.
So just to interrupt you real quick, if we go to the system, there's no consortia, or
Yeah.
it won't be a part, will be?
I don't see it, because they're going to get off, like, say, from Clemens, they're going to, Clemens provides dispatch network, which consists of the inside here, which all the department, and that they're making it secure, following all these standards. And they would like to keep it inside so nobody can hack in, and those are all the requirements that they put in place. And on top of that, their IT support staff making sure that those computers are running 24 hours, they can swap them quickly, they are updating. Those are all requirements that they're constantly updating to keep the mandates.
So, real quick, does Axon provide the firewall or the protection, the security?
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So that's another piece is your in-car network. The car running around, it is also part of the network talking to the dispatch back and forth, has to be secure. Because if anybody can hack in the car make it disabled to communicate, they will have a hard time, right? So there are standards in place that you won't allow internet or any other traffic that anybody can get in. So those networks build with cost. Yes, if City of Taylor can go in, we cannot build it. We don't have staff to build this. And I don't recommend you guys to go hire 5, 7, 8, 10 people with high price table. They're going to cost 10 times more. I'd rather you have consortium, that's what you should follow. It's going to cost, and then they give you guarantee and stability. Keep that in mind. If you don't follow the best practices and all these things, and whoever don't follow it, we see it in the news. That public safety getting hacked in, how much ransomware that they pay, those going to be nowhere near what the payment, 10-year payment that we pay. So those that they cannot just come in and say, hey, we're buying 15 desktops and they don't work with the ITs, so IT is going to hook them up and we're just going to go for it. I just wanted to make it clear for you that the high risk that it puts it into the city.
Councilman Johnson, I believe you have a question.
Go ahead.
Well, first, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is there protection in place?
Yes, Axon's company is CGIS compliant and FIPS compliant. Those are the liability he was talking to.
Okay.
The Axon company is, and they are also, the DMA software for the 911 system does work with the Axon system, and they are used to that system. I have zero issues. When we recently had our lien audit, they asked about our car security. We talked about Axon, and Axon provided all their certification for all the safeguards.
one of the things that I would like to say is, big cities use this already. So they're bound by the same rules we are. So I have to imagine that Fresno, California, Orlando PD, they're probably a lot bigger than we are. And if they can stay compliant using their system, I'm pretty sure that Axon has developed ways through it. And let's just do a worst case scenario for a minute. Let's just say we get through this whole thing and it doesn't meet our criteria. It doesn't cost us a dime. We just say this doesn't meet our needs at the end of it, and we can walk away from this whole thing, and we are not out a dime for the city of Taylor. So if Mr. Patel was correct and this ends up costing us a fortune, and it looks like it's going to cost a lot of money, we'll just say no thanks. We're all set.
Mr. Chairman?
Actually, Councilwoman Wynn.
I mean, I think they've answered. Mine was going to be more of a comment that this is an international company, and I would assume that they meet the criteria. I mean, again, this isn't a small fly-by-night. It doesn't sound, though, like to Councilman Bezura, that I'm sharing the same concern that I'm not sure we're going to get that support to make this happen. It is a concern.
Councilman Wynn.
When would we get to that point that we know that it might not work or wouldn't work? I mean, I would assume we're going to be keeping Columbus and running concurrently for X period of time. When do we get to the point where we say, oh, shoot, it doesn't work, or look how great it is, and let's, fill out the consortium?
Councilman, what our plan is we have 24 months, and we don't pay a dime until we are done. So we are going to run two systems at once, but this was made clear through the entire process of talking with Axon that we are not going to piece together, today we have the dispatch, next month we have the jail. This is going to be, we're going to turn off A and turn on B, and we're done, so we're not going to pay two things there. So we have 24 months to meet the goals set forth. So we have 2 years to see how this is tracking. And if they don't, then we can pull out before then. If we see anything along the way, we are able to pull out for whatever reason we want to out of this contract. So I believe that for us going forward, there's no risk, because worst case scenario, we just leave. We just say, no, thank you for your time. And Axon's actually the person or the company that's going to be out. Now, Axon doesn't have anything in Michigan, so it's in their best interest to make sure that this goes seamlessly, because the concerns that Mr. Patel has, I'm sure every city's going to have. But as attractive as this is, I have to imagine that other cities are going to inquire on it and have the same issues, and they're already prepared and have already addressed it across the country and the other states.
I don't see what would be the problem. Did we discuss last night, I believe I asked the lieutenant in reference personnel that would be monitoring this system also. It would be no different than years ago within our PD when we went to the computers and everything. We had personnel, law enforcement personnel, overseeing this system to make sure that the system, and they were well trained. I think that the issue is, what I'm hearing is, I don't see why this cannot happen as long as our IT and the police department work with this. Plus, you've got a major company that's going to come in here, and I'm sure that they can assist on both sides, not only with the police department, with the implementation of this, but also with Mr. Patel's department as far as IT. This is something that and I'm not an IT guy, but you would think that this should be something that I think should be excited by everyone. I think that we should take every step possible to make sure that this works. I don't see why it couldn't work. I'm sure that their personnel, and this as big as this is, with other major departments already running it, that we can't work together and make this happen, because just from what I've seen in my position from the years back, this is definitely something good for the people, good for our law enforcement personnel, it's good for our fire department, and it should be made happen, period.
If I could just touch on this for a second, this provides, for the people at home that don't know what we're talking about, this system has so many additional features, such as the live stream of the body camera. We have the Axon Air, where we'll have the drone that we can watch in live time, and we're also going to have the GPS capabilities so that I can track the GPS on a body camera to find out where an officer is. As a councilman can tell you, we've had many times where we get in a foot pursuit and they ask where you are when you finally catch the person or you get injured or something else. And Councilman, I don't want to speak for you, but there's a lot of times where I didn't know where I was.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be extremely beneficial for officer safety reasons and to help people from getting hurt, as well as catching bad guys that are out there. And I just see so many more things for the comparative cost of what we're paying already. I don't think that the IT hurdle will be a hurdle at all. We have a good relationship with Mr. Patel. I can't see any reason why we wouldn't continue to have a good relationship and make this thing happen.
Councilman John. I am too concerned about IT and the police working together. Kind of feels like it might be this, a little bit of bumping heads. From what I see, I like the system. Why don't we have the computers yet? Why don't you bring, because you could use those now. So will that be brought to us soon?
As soon as we can get this approved, or if this doesn't get approved, we would like to put something forward, a package to bring to you shortly, yes.
I know, I understand IT's concern about costing money and implementing and not working and, you know, all that, I understand that, but if we work together, this thing can work.
Agreed. And this is, as the councilman said, this is for everybody. This isn't just law enforcement. '21st century. It's gonna, like some of the things we still use now are paper doc.